So this is our third video for chapter 2, and in this video we're going to discuss the difference between the slide base layer and slide layers. So the way we organize content in a SPARC slide is slightly different than maybe how you organize a slide in PowerPoint, because we have layers here. Now, if you've ever used Photoshop or another graphic design program, you might have accessed layers before, but layers allow us to stack information on top of each other. It allows us a way to organize. It allows us a way to navigate material in a different way. So we will get to videos further down the line that go with other chapters that talk about how are we going to navigate through those slides, but I just want to show you how you might want to use layers to organize content. So we use layers in a couple of different ways within the SPARC program. So I started right here. We have a little question mark icon here, and this might be something you're familiar with when you navigate the web, that we know that we can click this and get a little bit more information. And in this case, we can learn about accessibility features. So over here in the bottom right corner of your screen, you have the slide layers area. I can change how large this area is. So if you have a lot of slide layers, you can add them. If you have more slide layers than that, you'll get a little one of these kinds of scroll bar things. If you ever experience a very gamified version of something that's built in one of these kinds of programs like Storyline, Articulate Storyline, that's how they're utilizing layers. It helps you move through things in a very functional way. So this one right here, we're going to just click on this, and now that we have it revealed what's going on, there's a close button. So that's what the user is going to use to get rid of this visual layer, but we can just come back here. So, and you'll notice right here, this one is identified as the base layer. So that's a real simple way. It wouldn't logically make sense to create a whole other slide just to have this little bit of information. Not everybody needs to access that piece of information. They might not be interested in it. So it's just a way to keep it close at hand because it is connected to this slide. And we use it in a similar function in the slides that have videos. We created read script buttons so that if a student wants to read the script as opposed to watch the video, or maybe they want to get a little bit more specific information, want to slow down, they can access the read script. Again, I can click here, and there's the script that student is saying. Again, we have a very obvious close button there. Other ways that Articulate Storyline uses layers is to add functionality, and so that happens with our quizzes. So now you can come over here to see the slide layers. I have a correct layer, an incorrect layer, and a try again layer. When you build a quiz using the onboard quiz building tool within Articulate Storyline, these 3 layers are going to be automatically generated. So let's look at them. So if a student takes this quiz and they get an incorrect, we can show them this message, and a retry button will take them back to the base layer, and they can give another go. Now, Articulate builds in a try again and an incorrect. I see them as kind of the same thing. So it's quite likely, as I'm looking at this, that we don't actually use this layer. But let's go and look at the correct layer. So in this case, if the student is interacting with this quiz, they get the answer right. There is some trigger language over here that says if the submit button is pressed and the correct answer is chosen, then this correct layer is going to be presented to the student, and here's where the next button is for that student to continue moving through the course. The way I designed SPARC to work at my campus is that quizzes are used to just kind of pause for a moment to ensure that the student understood what we presented them in terms of the education and allow them to move forward. So in a lot of cases, to get to the next button, the student has to answer correctly. So we can use layers to add interactivity to certain slides and have the user dig in a little bit deeper. Now, another way that I use layers in the building of this SPARC is in this slide over here in Module 4, where we're trying to show students, we're introducing the concept of being a positive bystander, and this is content that we developed here at SUNY Oneonta when we talk with students that not everybody identifies, or they think that you have to be a super extroverted person to be a bystander. And we want to say that no, you can start changing the culture, and you can you can have a positive impact on your community, even if you're an introvert and you identify as an introvert. So in this case, to move through this slide, the student has to click this "What can I do" button. They're instructed in the video to click on the "What can I do" button, and they're sent to this layer right here. And now they have several choices that they can choose. They can say, no, I'm more of an introvert, more of an extrovert. I really only want to deal with 2 minutes of being a bystander. So these are 6 different buttons that a student could get sent through, and there's 6 different layers right here to connect them through. So maybe they say that I'm an extrovert, I have 10 minutes. They have this blue button, so it's easy for me to identify this because I've kept it all colorful here. And it takes them to a selection of things that maybe they could see themselves doing if they had a few minutes in the 10 to 15 minute range in their life. These are what they can do. They can seek out one of these resources and they can take on that action to make their community better. And now they're also presented with a next button. So no matter what they choose from this menu, they're going to be presented with a next button to move on through the program. And that's basically what I wanted to show you today with slide layers. They're a way to organize content to keep it all connected. But maybe your slide just isn't big enough for all of the pieces of information. And I think as we need to consider that students might be possibly taking this course on their cell phones, let's think, what are the small chunks of information to present to our students? And that's slide layers.